England's Bazball project is in tatters after yet another Ashes in Australia was lost in 3 tests. The tourists were defeated by 82 runs on the 5th day of the 3rd test in Adelaide to go 3-0 down and extend a winless run in that country to 18 matches. Let's speak to the UK editor of ESPN's Cricinfo, Andrew Miller, who joins us now. Hi, Andrew.
Hi there. How are we doing?
Hi, Andrew.
I'm not so well.
Well, it's been a tough December, really, isn't it? Because I think when the Ashes comes around, we all get very, very excited. And absolutely we should as well, because it's one of the major sporting events, one of the major sporting moments in a calendar. Yet this really didn't even get started, did it? I mean, it was as soon as we began, England were behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, I mean, what is it? It's 16 defeats in 18 tests. I think I lose count. They come so quickly. 4 consecutive series in Australia, dating back to their victory in 2011 when England have gone 3-0 down after 3 tests. It's getting repetitive, and it's really quite frustrating because I genuinely thought England had a chance this time, and I genuinely think they blew it. I don't think, looking back on the years that I've been watching England not doing very well down under, basically takes us back to 1990. I don't think there are many other teams that have gone out to Australia who would have performed this badly against this Australian team. And that's a really savage indictment of where England have got to with, as you say, the Bazball project. It has gone wrong.
What's fascinating, as you said, is that England blew it. So are you suggesting that it was a tactical mishap to be as gung-ho as they were and have decided to be? Because they've rode it back a little bit from the all-out Bazball that they started with when Brendon McCullum first came in. Or was it the fact that what disappoints you is that Australia aren't actually that good?
Well, there are 2 misconceptions there. I think the Bazball thing. I mean, Brendon McCullum loathes the word Bazball because he's never tried to define it. He's always steered away from trying to give it any meat on the bones. And it's never actually, in my opinion, been about all-out attack. It just so happens that England's best cricket has come when they have been attacking. It leans into their white ball strengths. They were double world champions in 50 and 20 over cricket in 2022 when the Bazball project began. So they're actually really good at that form of the game, and they were really bad at red ball cricket, which obviously requires more defence. So the Bazball notion was all about leaning into what you're good at and backing your strengths and having it up top, the clear mind, clear plans, clear approach, and you could go places. And that was why I thought England had a chance going to the series, because they did have proof in the last 3.5 years of playing in this freed up mind first way that they could compete. The trouble is their mind is shot to bits, and they've gone out there and they haven't known whether they're attacking or defending. They haven't been committed to any given approach. And as a consequence of being totally mind led, I mean, you had Brendon McCullum admitting today that perhaps the preparation was wrong. There was a lot of chat in the build-up to the series that England didn't do enough practice games. If their minds had been in the right place, I don't think that would have mattered. Trouble is, I don't think anyone quite realised how far they'd slipped off the stand as they were when this all began in 2022, 2023, when England really were quite a formidable mental unit. They've lost too many games, they've lost too many senior players, and they're just not the robust unit that I think we thought they were, certainly looking from the outside. But more damningly, the coaches and the senior players within the team, I don't think realised quite how weak they were going into the series. And that's a real shame, because as I say, I do think it's a huge missed opportunity.
You know what, Andrew, you said there about, the Bazball. I think there's a lot of the players hiding behind the Bazball philosophy because they've absolved themselves responsibility at certain times in test matches. And you think, actually, we started off quite well for the first day and a quarter, because there was a period of time where we were 105 for 2 and 105 in front. And there you just have to manage that game. That next 10 overs or 15 overs, get through, you don't lose any wickets. So I think the philosophy of you sort of bat your way and you go gung-ho when you're under pressure, and it's risk to reward. And at first in Bazball, it was working, wasn't it? Because there'd be times where they would get themselves out of trouble if they were 75 for 4, and then someone would get a ton by playing like the 20 over cricket. But this time, and Ben Stokes, I think he's got frustrated with the lack of character in this England team.
Yeah, I agree with that, but also I would maintain that there I think England's senior management, Stokes included, I think, are slightly at fault for forgetting that this is a very different team to the one they had when they started this project. The Bazball project, the Bazball mentality, was basically born out of a cartel of senior players, Stokes, Root, James Anderson, Johnny Bairstow, Stuart Broad, guys who many of them are World Cup winners. Many of them, Broad and Anderson, had been around the block for generations. They knew how to play cricket. They knew how to play their best cricket, and they decided we're just going to lean into what we do best. Let's have some fun here. We know the basics. We can bring people along. Most of those guys have now gone, and the team that has gone out to Australia, so apart from Stokes and Root, I think it's only Mark Wood, who's obviously injured now, Zach Crawley, and Ollie Pope, who'd actually been to Australia previously. And Ollie Pope averages 17 in the Ashes. I mean, he's just not a replacement for the senior players that England have lost along the way. And so, yes, it's all very well saying that England shouldn't have been so gung-ho. But the trouble is, none of these players had anything to fall back on. They were all about the mindset-led approach that had done so well. But as soon as that was exposed, they look down. It's a bit like walking a tightrope. If you're fearless and you can see the other side of the canyon, you can walk across that tightrope with confidence. As soon as the moment you look down, it's like, oh my God, it's a long way down. And now England are falling into the abyss because they've lost their balance, and they've got no hinterland to fall back on in the way that this team did have when it was as I say, that bunch of senior, hugely experienced players who set about this project 3 years ago.
Interesting that you say that they're falling into the abyss. What happens next for the likes of the captain, Ben Stokes, the head coach, Brendon McCullum, and the director of cricket, Rob Key?
Well, I think Stokes, it's up to him, to be perfectly honest. He's got a contract that runs till 2027. I would be astonished, given what we know about his character, that he wouldn't want to go again. Train hard. He was actually in pretty good form with the ball and the bat, which hasn't actually been the case for a couple of years. He's had a lot of injury problems. So if his body is fit enough, his mind will certainly be fit enough. So I would imagine it's up to him whether he goes again and tries to win back the Ashes on home soil, probably his final act in 2027. Brendon McCullum, again, he's also got a contract to 2027, but his methods, I fear, have been exposed here. It's a bit like the Emperor's New Clothes. No one really talks about the story of the Emperor's New Clothes from the perspective of the Emperor, do they? It's like, until the point that this was exposed, he was the king of this operation. It's like, the mindset and making people walk tall and feel like they're $1 million, that genuinely worked. And I don't think you can discredit anything that he's achieved for the last 3 years. The trouble is, how does he get that mindset back when there are so many players who clearly look shot to bits by the experience of this tour already, and we've still got 2 tests to come. So I would have doubts as to whether he can be sustainable in red ball cricket going forward. Obviously, the white ball setup may be a different case. And Rob Key, again, I mean, he had a vision, he had an approach, he took a gamble on Stokes 3.5 years ago, and likewise, I want to try and separate out the achievements that England had from where they've got to now. They have made some bad mistakes, and I think a lot of that has come down to the failure to treat the Tour of Australia with the respect it deserved. To be honest, they needed to prepare more. That's obvious in hindsight.
Some of that's the calendar, though, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I mean, this again is a very, very pertinent point. England play so much; they play so much more than anyone else. I mean, because of them being Northern Hemisphere, they don't get that obvious 6 months off a year that all other teams will get unless they're touring England. So, yeah, the calendar is a huge part of this, and that is part of why England were so determined to go mind first. They play a lot of cricket. They don't need to worry about the basics in theory, but unfortunately on this occasion, they just didn't have enough hinterland to succeed in Australia.
Andrew, thank you very much. That's Andrew Miller, who is the UK editor of ESPN's Crick Info. Thank you very much for that insight into the absolute debacle which unfolded down under.